And with that, we welcome you back to another episode of Seminoles Sideline 365. We are your hosts, KB, and as we say, the oldest living Florida State alumni, fan, veteran, whatever you want to call him, the old man Bruce. How's it going? How's it going, everyone?
Great man. Great man. The climb continues, and we could get one more step on that staircase to heaven, brother, with a win over the Gators Friday night at the Doak. And you know what? This is Gator Week. There's nothing like Gator Week. It's better than Miami. It's a totally different thing. And I've got the torch. I've got the torch. This is the Seminole torch. I took the fire from the spear. I climbed up there and got some of that, just like the Olympics, mister.
I don't think you're supposed to have those Centronella candles inside. I think you can die of those toxic fumes.
Till this game is over, and then I will distinguish the flame.
I think those mosquito fumes may get to your head, but we'll see.
Right over there.
Okay.
What a great week! What a great game this is going to be, and what you just ran there was a.
Yeah, you want to pull it back up? You want to pull it back up for you?
Yeah, let's pull it up. I can talk through it, right?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, let me add it back here.
I can talk through it. So don't start it yet. Don't start it yet. 1993. If everybody remembers, 1993, we go on to win a national championship. Tell me I'm wrong. We go on to win a national championship, but we had to win this game, okay? We had to beat the Florida Gators. This play I watched on TV. I was not at the game.
Where were you?
I was in front of a TV set, and it wasn't 75 inches, my friend. Where the hell were you? What were you? 3 years old?
3 years old. Yep.
2 or 3 years old. 2 or 3 years old. You're in your dirty diaper or whatever the hell it was. And I'm watching this game, and it's unbelievable. If I remember, the score was close. I'm not going to get into all that detail. Charlie Ward is our quarterback, number 17. Go ahead and run this play.
All right.
This play breaks the game wide open. Charlie Ward scrambles, throws it to Warwick Dunn. And everybody knows that name. He ran down that sideline. I was going crazy. It was going crazy. Okay? This blew the game open, and the Noles would go on to win this game. Unbelievable. Against the most hated coach ever at the Gators, Steve Spurrier. Go back to that clip with Steve right there. Can you roll it just easy? Yeah. Oh, you got to see. Yeah. There's the face. I just didn't see the visor come on. Okay. I'll never forget. But in this series, KB, and that was at the Swamp, brother. That was at the Swamp.
Yep.
So you can kill it now. You can take that down. Review. Our friends at the Raging Cajun Review, probably helping Jesus reel in the fish. Absolutely love that. Thank you. I don't know if that's Nick or Josh.
We will. We'll help beat the Fighting Napiers for you this weekend for sure.
Yeah. Hey, and if you got any information about their quarterback, which you didn't have last week, Nick, but it sounds like everybody got fooled on that last week. But it's great to hear from our friends at the Review. Great bunch of guys, and it's great hearing from them. But that play will live in my head. It's just one of those plays. It's kind of like some of the wide left and wide rights in Miami, that I watched all of those, and it doesn't leave your head, because those games, there was a lot on the line of going to the national championship or losing a national, It was unbelievable.
And
So,
we're gonna need some of those plays this weekend. I think, and that score put them up 33-21, just for reference. And I do think,
oh my God,
as opposed to what our fans think this weekend, I do think this is going to be a close contest, despite records and what happened with Vanderbilt in Florida last weekend.
And we'll get into that. And
we'll get into that. But I do think that you're going to need big plays like that out of Travis with his ability. He's going to have to make some of those plays like that this weekend for us to come out with this victory. It's not going to be, in my mind, as close as we are, as blowout as most fans think. So we can get into that.
We're definitely going to get into that. And I think there's going to be some interesting thoughts and clarifications. And I think I tend to be conservative in how I view this football team. Yeah. Okay. And I've been around this football program since the 60s. Okay. Since the 60s. And not that I was there in the 60s. I was there in the early 70s, from 70 to 74, and went through some tremendously bad seasons. Those were prior to Bobby Bowden. Okay. What we need to talk about is, first, we have just came through a tough October, and then we came into 4 wins. The question is, what have we learned? And I want to say learned in the last 4 weeks, the 4 wins. We've already talked about the losses. And I know there's there's more lessons in losses than there are in wins. But what do we take away from the last four games which we've won, in your opinion?
Yeah. For me, one of the big things is that I think Fabian Lovett, having him back does make a difference on the line. Having him out during those losses, NC State, Wake Forest, Clemson, I think it does make a difference. Just, he's not going to show up big on the stat sheet, but I think that continuity of having that big guy in the middle to stuff up the middle, like, we know he's not a stat stuffer, right? But it's having a guy that can clog that middle subtly and just disrupt the run motion. It's huge. He just is a security blanket in the middle of that defense that we didn't have against the core of that, the hardest part of our schedule. And it made a ton of difference. And especially as we played against some run-heavy teams like Syracuse with Sean Tucker, and teams that wanted to run against us, they couldn't. And I think having Fabian back and healthy, it made a ton of difference on what we could do in the defense. And it allowed our edge rushers to do what they do. It allowed us to blitz more. And it just, I think it's made a huge difference so far. And that's what I've been most impressed with so far. And that's one of my big takeaways, is that having him healthy and back has allowed our defense to do a lot more than we could before when he wasn't.
Yeah, I think the last 4 weeks and these wins have really given this team some confidence, because coming out of a tough October where we had, I think, 3 losses in a row, 2 losses in a row.
Yeah, 3.
Yeah, that team we could have lost the team there. The coach could have lost that team, and guys would have started checking out. These guys didn't check out, and they didn't check out. They went back to work, and I think it's a great lesson for everybody in life. They went back to work, they stood up, and they started to apply the principles, and they started winning games. Yeah. Now, I think that is one of the big takes coming out of this. This team looks more businesslike than I've ever seen. The only team that can beat this team right now is themselves. Now, that's cliche. We hear that, but if they execute the way, and we get the same play calling that Norvell and Atkins is doing, by spreading the ball out, they're going length and they're going width, which puts a lot of pressure on a defense. Okay, and we'll talk about how that's going to affect Florida in a minute. But I think that is what I take out of this game. The discipline. We've improved in every nationally ranked category that I track, or that I've been tracking. And, it's a machine now. The question is, can they keep that focus, and can they play with that motivation, against the Gators?
I don't think motivation is going to be a factor in this game. I think I have all the motivation in this game.
Well, the motivation is this. The motivation is this, and we'll roll right into the meat of this Gator gig right now. The motivation is, this team has not seen adversity in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
This team has not seen a quarterback of Anthony Richardson's capabilities. Now, here are the fans going, that old man doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
They haven't seen a healthy P5 quarterback in 4 weeks.
They haven't seen a steady quarterback, healthy, as you say, KB, steady quarterback who can run up some numbers, not only with his legs, but with his arm, and has the capability to keep you a little off balance. Yeah. So this is in the last 4 or 5 weeks, this is the first quarterback that we're going to see that could put some damage. And what I'm talking about is this team must stay motivated, they must stay hungry, and they must be able to respond if necessary, in adversity. And I've seen strange shit happen in this series. The first kickoff could go to the Gators, the guy runs it back.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you haven't seen that in 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
You're down now. But what I want to tell this team, if anybody's listening, is don't panic at any time. Play your game and carry out your business plan.
And that's one thing. That's a good point, because like you said, what happens when the tough things start to happen? Do they start to press? Does a player start to do more than? Does he try to do more than he should? Does he, like you said, does he go out of the game plan? Do you audible out of the play that's being called in? Do you really try to press, and that causes a turnover, stuff like that? Some play, like I do think, though, from things I've seen, is that this team is a little bit better than that. In years past, some players may try to take it upon themselves and try to do too much, or get emotionally out of the game and start to, jaw and stuff like that. Now, there's been times that we have seen a little bit of those things, but this team, a couple of times in this stretch, I forget, it was against Georgia Tech, where we fumbled within the 20. We gave the ball over. Maybe it was against Syracuse. We gave the ball over within our own red zone, and the defense stood up. And they remember they pushed the ball back almost to the 50, and they didn't get any points from that. I forget which game that was in the stretch. But it's things like that where, not necessarily you still won in a blowout fashion, but you were put in a bad situation based on a turnover, and your defense stood up. They bent but didn't break, and they forced no points. So things like that, you've seen that this team, bad turnover, like, why are we back out here? We just got the ball back. Then, based on bad play, bad turnover, we're back out here. But they did their job, pushed them back, penalties, sacks, whatever. And then you gave up no points. So we've seen some of that emotional maturity from both sides of this team, I think, especially on the defense. So that is some signs I've seen even with this winning streak. But like you said, we haven't been down 14 points in a while, right? We haven't had Jordan Travis have to lead this team down the field on a game-winning drive, or down 14 points and have to put together a well-balanced, like I say, intermediate passing game. It's been really do what you want, pound the ball, and then throw it to the open receiver. He really hasn't had to press it in a while, right? He hasn't had to play in the second half of the games in a while, right? So that's the part that concerns me. Now, maybe we should go back to the takeaways for the last 4 weeks, and then we can go into the Florida deep dive. One thing from the takeaway side of the last 4 weeks is special teams. I think our special teams is back on track, and that is going to contribute to the Florida game, in my opinion. I have full confidence back in Ryan Fitzgerald that within 45 yards, you could throw him back out there. During that losing streak was when I think Mike Norvell had to get was really in his head about, if it's 4th and 3, 4th and 4, and we're on that 35, 40-yard line, I'm just going to go for it, right? Or do I go for it? What play do I call? Do I run it? Do I pass it? Do I kick it? Do I punt it? And like you're in that debate with your play, you're debate with yourself because you're the play caller, and then Alex Atkins is probably in your head, like, and your special teams coach is probably, Papa Chuas is probably like, oh no, we should kick, and then you're trying to decide, like, do I, blow the confidence that's in my kicker? Like, do I say, no, I don't believe in you? But he's missed 5 kicks in a row. And then finally you get in this winning streak, and he's gone back to his 3-step motion. And I think he made his last 5 or 6 kicks. The one being the 55-yarder that got hit back 2 or 3 times because there were false starts. That was on track, but it was just too short. I think you got to have full confidence back in him based on what you've seen. Everything's been straight and right on line. It's good to have that back. And then Mastromanno, he's just been pinning teams within their own 10-yard line, 15-yard line. And that set their defense up in great spots. And especially, like you keep saying, on kickoffs, virtually no returns.
That's important. That's
important. And when you're going to this Florida matchup with ETN, who can kick return pretty well, and we saw that in select games.
LSU. LSU had a great return.
Exactly. He's a dangerous guy as a freshman. So both on field goal kicking as well as kick return or punts and kickoffs.
Right.
I think those teams are hitting on all cylinders right now. And that's especially been impaired during this 4-game win streak.
Yeah, we're going to find out. You hit on some very good points. This is not just an ordinary game. This isn't. Both teams are already bowl eligible, so that's okay. This is a bowl as far as I'm concerned. This is the Gator Gig FSU Chief Osceola Bowl. This place will be rocking Friday night. And it should be, and it would be rocking down in the swamp the next year when it's down there.
Yeah.
This is not an ordinary game. Nobody can treat it as an ordinary game, and you cannot treat this as, well, the Florida Gators are like Miami, they're a dumpster fire and all that. The statistics don't break down that way. They honestly don't break down that way if you dive into the numbers. There are some media people thinking this is going to be a walkover. I don't think it's going to be a walkover.
No.
I don't think we're in a position yet to say that against many teams except the few that we played. This is the best team we have played in the last 5 weeks, in my opinion. In my opinion.
I think one of the I'll let you go on, but I have a couple of thoughts on just.
Yeah, I think it's the best team that we have played in the last 5 weeks. Now, and let me talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
The Gators are 6-5. Okay, they're 6-5. Let's see who they've beaten. They've beaten Utah in the very first game. Utah came into the swamp and they beat Utah 29-26.
Who's now number 12 or
who's,
something.
Who's now
just lost to Oregon.
Right. Utah is 8-3. I think they were favored in that game, and Florida knocked them off in the very first game.
Yeah.
So in a close game, Gators win that game. They beat a terrible South Florida team that's getting ready to change coaches anyways, but they only beat them 31-28, and South Florida's 1-10 this year. Okay. They beat a lousy Eastern Washington team, 52-17. Eastern Washington is 3-8 on the season. And then comes the LSU game. Okay. LSU was rolling at that point.
Yeah.
They had one loss. It was the Florida State.
No, they were both 4-2 at the time.
Okay. I'm sorry. You sure?
Yeah, I believe they were both 4-2 at the time.
I think you should check that. LSU, which I have now at 9-2, I think they came in with one loss. Doesn't matter. Florida beats LSU by 10 points in the swamp. Okay. Yeah. That was a huge win for their program.
And that's a close game. It comes down to kind of a controversial roughing the passer call that Florida could get the ball back. But like you said, it was a very
I think LSU was 9-1. I could be wrong. If fans are out there, you can double check us and send us.
No, I just mean that matchup. They were both 4-2. It was
and then Florida beats Texas A&M. A&M's 4-7 on the year. Florida beat them 41-24. We know Texas A&M is a dumpster fire. We get that.
Yeah.
And then they just beat South Carolina a couple of weeks ago, 38-6. South Carolina 7-4. Okay.
Who just beat Tennessee? Who just destroyed Tennessee?
Here are the losses the Gators have. 5 losses to Kentucky, to Tennessee, to Missouri, to UGA, and they got surprised by Vanderbilt. But Vanderbilt's 6-5 on the season.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
UGA's 11-0. Missouri's 5-6. Tennessee's 9-2. Kentucky's 6-5. So they've been playing in an SEC schedule. Here we go. I'm not going to get into ACC versus SEC. I don't give a shit about that.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't care what happened last year. I don't care what the season record is. Football is a 1-game show. That's what it is. It's not best of 7. This is a team that if you're not playing at a high level and executing, this team can beat you. They can beat you despite them being 10th ranked in the entire SEC at this point. Okay. So I'll shut up for a minute, turn the mic to you, but I got a lot of other shit to say about them.
No, I would say, in my opinion, and I know this is probably an unpopular opinion based on everything I've seen on Twitter this week from our fans, and that this is going to be an easy game. And, some of that is a little bit probably based on, Florida's going to be missing their top 2 receivers, which probably isn't helpful to them.
Missing more than that, yeah.
Yeah, no, but 2 of the top ones are going to be out that was just announced today, which bumped up the spread to 10.5 points. But to your point, Florida, is 6-5, like you said. But who they've lost to is, they're playing a tougher schedule too. I think this Florida game is probably going to be one of the top 2 or 3 toughest games on our schedule, quality team wise, just based on talent on the roster, in my opinion.
I agree.
Florida State has not played a tough schedule. Let's just be honest, guys. We have to be honest with ourselves. Florida State has not had a tough schedule this year. We lost 1 or 2 winnable games. We lost to a not so good NC State team with a backup quarterback. We should have won that game. You can say we're banged up, We should have won that game. Jordan Travis was healthy. He couldn't get the offense going in the second half, and we lost that game. And let's, I know we just lost 3 games, but we should have won that game. We lost to a bad team there at NC State. And so both these teams come in, and our only quality win, we beat LSU. We did. That's true. They beat Utah. So you could say both teams have at least one quality win on their schedule. And we come in this game, we're 8-3, they're 6-5, a couple of games go here and there, we could be similar, right? So I don't think this is a team that we can take for granted. Now, saying all that, I do think that we have better skills.
Well, wait a minute. What, you said they only have one quality. Utah, they beat LSU too.
No.
Yeah. Florida beat LSU. Okay.
So going. Sorry.
2 quality wins, and South Carolina, I would say, is just underneath that.
Almost. Yeah. So going into this, they lost to LSU. What are you talking about? They lost by 10. They lost to LSU. Yeah. You almost convinced me there for a second. Yeah. No, I just watched the game. So their only quality win, in my opinion, is the win against Utah. And that's why they say, Florida fans will say, well, your only quality win's LSU. But they're both week 1, regardless. Right. So we both have one quality win, in my opinion. We got LSU, they got Utah. Great. But in my opinion, we do have better skill position players. I think we have the better quarterback. I do think we have better receivers. I do think we have better running backs. Now, defensively, I do think our defense hasn't been tested. Theirs may be a little bit tested more. The defensive line, they may be. I don't know. That's the thing. We don't know. We really don't know in my mind until we get on the field. I just think we're taking for granted their record. We're just staring at their record and saying they're 6-5. They can't be any good. They just lost to Vanderbilt. But to your point, this isn't the Vanderbilt team this isn't the old Vanderbilt team that hadn't won an SEC game in like 3 years. This is a team that's 6-5 now. That's better than usual. This is a team that took LSU to the brink, and in terms of one roughing the passer penalty, could have beat them at home. They didn't beat them, so I'll give them credit for that. But this is an LSU team that's playing a lot better than, in my opinion, they were in week 1. And so I think if you look back, and we can dive deeper into that, but if you look at the LSU game, which they lost, they did lose that game. That's a blueprint for how you beat that team. And if you watch that game, I think that's exactly how Florida State needs to play this game against Florida. And I think that's how the outcome would go. I see this game within 10 to 15 points. LSU, that game was neck and neck into the 4th quarter. And Florida was able to apply pressure on that LSU offense. They were blitzing guys. They were spying Jaden Daniels. And it came down to LSU receivers making plays. And then when those players are making plays on the outside on single-man coverage and one-on-one matchups, then they're pounding the ball inside and they're able to get run in chunk yards. This is a Florida team that is not great at stopping the run, but they're only able to do that if you're making plays on the outside, because then they have to take guys out of the box. And so that's what LSU are able to do. If you watch that game again, you see Jaden's able to loft the ball up to those playmakers on the outside, one-on-one coverage, and they made plays. And that set up red zone runs on the inside. Jaden's able to make plays with his arm. He was able to make plays on zone reads with his legs. And then in the second half, they were able to pound the ball. Now, LSU did have some costly turnovers that allowed Florida to score, but I think you're going to see a similar game plan with Florida State against Florida this weekend. To me, it looks like a blueprint of how this game will go and how Florida State needs to operate if they're going to win this game this weekend.
Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you said there. I think what I would term the Gators this year, they're under a new coach, a new regime, and they're inconsistent. That's the word I'm searching for. They're inconsistent, but that inconsistency should not be translated by an opponent as so totally weak that they can't come in and beat you or they don't have enough talent. We know that there's talent on that roster. Yep. We know that they didn't bring Anthony Richardson to Florida because they didn't think the guy could play. Okay. This guy has at least 2 games that I'm aware of with over 400 yards passing. Okay? Yeah. At least 2 games this year with over 400 yards passing against 2 SEC schools.
Yeah, so, including last week.
And I heard one of our local media guys saying, right after our game ended, they were talking about the Florida game, and they were saying, Anthony Richardson, he played very poorly tonight. And that was the Vanderbilt. He put up 3 touchdowns and 400 yards. Yeah. How is that poor play? I don't get it. I didn't watch that whole game. I'm willing to listen. But when you put up that kind of yardage, but they didn't have any rushing game in there. So he had to put up the ball. And I think they were trailing, so he had to put it up more, but at least he's completing. Now, were they giving him all the underneath stuff? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. The bottom line is the guy's dangerous, in my opinion. The guy is dangerous. He's a big guy, too. He's not going to be easily taken out of any game. Yeah. I don't think they have a great rushing game. Their rushing offense. Well, I can't see that.
No.
Now, if you go, wait a minute. If you go back to, they haven't performed well in certain games rushing the ball. They are ranked number 15th nationally against their whole schedule, against the entire schedule at 209 yards.
Yeah.
So that's nothing to sneeze at. We're ranked 14th at 217 yards against the entire schedule.
Yeah.
So if they're putting up 150 yards a game, that's winnable. And if they're putting up 250 or 300 in the pass game, that means you're going to be in a close contest. Yeah. In the way I look at football. Okay. So both teams looks like they can rush the ball if they're having a good day. We have consistently shown we can rush it, and we're going to rush it, and we're going to try to run it down their throat. And the way we're doing it is we're spreading it out. And if we keep them off balance, they've got a big guy in the middle. The guy's like 390 pounds. I've heard somebody say he's 400 pounds. He doesn't run very well. He doesn't run side to side. So he's going to hold up the middle. He's going to, Maurice Smith is going to have his hands full of this guy, but the guy's not that great a player. So what we need to do is run him from side to side, and his reps will get used up real quick.
Yeah, okay? and the reason I bring up the LSU game is because I think we're going to see some of this. And people bring up his, Anthony Richardson and him not being a good quarterback, stuff like that. He is inconsistent, but he has the ability to do stuff like this. This is the first drive of the LSU game. He could take you out over the top. And I think they're going to test this against LSU.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to try this against Florida State. I think very early they're going to test the DBs of Florida State.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to go like this. And against LSU, they scored 14 points in the first 2 drives. They were able to test a good LSU defensive backs and drive the ball against them, passing the ball. And now, and like I said, that was a fight to the fourth quarter with them. But that showed that he was able to drive that ball right off first play of the game on the first drive. He was able to drive that ball down the field. It was a great pass. I mean, I think literally that's a 55-yard, 60-yard pass right down the middle of the field, beat the DB and say double coverage right there. So I think that's what Florida State's got to be looked out for, is that you can't just expect him to run the ball or dump it down, which he does tend to do. This guy, like you said, can throw for 400 yards, and he can beat you over the top. This is what he's capable of. He did this to get to good LSU team.
Yeah, I just hope fans understand that this is not what we've seen the last 4 weeks. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And some of the teams that we've been playing, and we're not here to blow up the Gators. Okay.
No,
I hate the freaking Gators.
no.
I hate them more than I hate Miami.
No.
Okay.
No.
So, but we're trying to be realistic here. I hope the hell we're wrong. I hope it's a walkover. I hope the starters leave the field on senior night, on senior day and senior night. I hope we pull them at the beginning of the third quarter. I hope that's what we're looking at, but I don't want people to get too comfortable. But if we play our game and we execute, I think we'll be fine. Now, in passing offense, nationally ranked, Gators are 67th. We're 41st. They're at 230 yards a game. We're at 257. Even though Jordan Travis last week, we didn't have to throw the ball much against the Raging Cajuns. We just ran the ball. We ran the ball. That's all we needed to do. And we're going to try to run the ball against the Gators. Now, if we can run the ball successfully at the Gators, which we should be able to do, because their rush defense is ranked number 92, and they're giving up 172 yards on the ground. So that's an indicator to us. We should be able to run the ball successfully against them to set up the play action pass.
Into that, and that's a great segue because I was literally about to pull this up. I think this is going to be a big day for Lawrence Hill affiliate and Micah Pittman, because when you watch the LSU game, you see a lot of in the middle and running back pass, because what they did was Florida was able to get a lot of pressure on the quarterback, like Jordan I just literally forgot his name. The quarterback, though, Jaden Daniels, was constantly under pressure, but they did a great job of rolling him out. Like, Florida was either had a spy on the quarterback or it's constantly sending a guy from a linebacker or a guy from the secondary to pressure the quarterback. They're trying to make him uncomfortable. But what else you did a great job of is that they constantly rolled him out. So they had a guy in motion. They would do the zone read like we do, and they would bring him out and roll him out and do plays like that. And I mean, this is something that Florida State typically does really well. So I think you're going to see a lot of that motion, and you're going to see a lot of rolling out Jordan Travis and getting a guy like Portier or Jordan Wilson on the edge and get them open like that. You're going to see chunk yards like that available. So if you're running the ball effectively, to your point, you can roll them out, you alleviate the pressure from the middle or on the edge, and then you can roll them out and you get a quick 15 yards like that. Or you can see for a guy coming through the middle and dump it off across if you want to go across your body like that. But that's going to be available to you just like it was in the LSU game.
I think the play calling is going to be very interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think we've done a really good job for much of the season in play calling, and especially the last 4 weeks. I think it's going to be very interesting, but I hope he continues to stretch the field width and length to let them know we're coming at all angles. So the defense cannot get comfortable. You don't know, are they coming my side? Are they going wide? Are they going up the middle? Is it going over the top? If we continue to mix that play selection well, it's going to suit this team well and get it into the hands of the playmaker. And Jordan Travis may have to run a little bit more in this game, which gives me a little bit of a scare, because if he goes down with an injury, this game changes rapidly.
Yeah.
This game would change rapidly.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about the dudes.
No, I don't want to talk about it, but it's realistic. It's been on my mind the whole season. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just something we need to, I'm not superstitious. I'm just saying it has to be talked about and it has to be addressed. Okay. Here's one of the things I think that does stand out a little bit, which I thought was very interesting in numbers. First of all, the Noles offensive line, we've given up 94 quarterback pressures. That's a lot. 94, that's 8.5 per game.
Yeah.
Per game on passes now. Passes. Turn time,
as you call them, turnstile.
Turn time leads with 14 pressure, giving up pressures.
And like we said,
and Robert Scott has given up 13.
This O-line isn't elite. This O-line is average
plus. And Coach Atkins has done a wonderful job with them.
Yes.
Gibbons is probably the best guy on that line.
Yeah, okay. But this is not a good offensive. This is average plus O-line.
Well, it's average plus to a.
And that's good. This O-line used to be dumpster fire plus.
Right. Well,
in 2
they're
years,
they,
2
they're
years
a
ago.
stronger this season. The numbers show they're a stronger run blocking than they are pass blocking.
Correct.
Okay.
I mean,
and
the
that
job
varies from player to player.
Exactly. And they've done a great job in the portal and
Yeah.
development and coaching and scheming it up too. The scheming.
And you know, and if we know these stats, the other team knows the stats.
Yeah.
They know who's giving up the most pressures. They know who's weak, where to put their best edge rusher.
Yeah.
Right. Which I think their best edge rusher is what's his name? Umalin, something like that. It's spelled weird. Umamielen. He's the best edge rusher. I don't know if they move him around, but they're going to go after where the weak guys are, and they are going to try to put pressure. I think they're going to try to stop the run. They are going to try to stop the run because if they can't stop the run, it's going to be a long damn game for them. I think when they bring guys up, we're going to have to hit those passes. Yeah. We're going to have to hit those passes.
And to your point, they tried to stop the run similar against LSU. LSU was still able to run for 179 yards. And to your point, Jordan Travis is going to have to run the ball so they respect him. Jane Daniels ran the ball 14 times. Some of it was designed, some of it was not designed. So to your point, there's going to be a lot of pressure on the quarterback, but he's going to have to just alleviate it. He's got we give up a lot of pressure, but doesn't get sacked a lot. That's just due to Jordan Travis' ability to break the pocket and not get sacked, right?
And they have to account for him.
Exactly. Like Jane Daniels had 3 TDs against Florida. And now a lot of that was either designed or just breaking the pocket, alleviating the pressure, and finding the open spot, right? And so I think a lot of that, like you said, LSU had 179 yards against Florida. And that leads to things, like you said, it makes them have to account for the run, has to open up the box. But also, when they're trying to stop out on the run, you're going to get a lot of one-on-one matchups. And guys have to make plays.
We have guys that should be able to dominate one-on-one plays.
Exactly. You're going to have to see Malik, or you're going to have to see Johnny Wilson come back into the picture. So you're going to have to see guys make these one-on-one plays like you see either at the top or the bottom of your screen.
Catch the damn football.
They're going to have to make these one-on-one plays like you see here.
Right there.
Guys are going to have to make plays like that. We have the guys that have the ability to make these plays, but they have to make them against Florida.
Because
we're going to have the one-on-one matchups. And these DBs are not good at – I mean, they're not elite DBs at Florida. No. You have to make these plays.
They have to respect our run. I mean, the statistics alone, all the games, all the film they've seen, they have to respect our running back room. Okay, starting with Trey Benson, who should get at least 15 carries in this game, if not more. At least 15 carries. But we also have Trayshawn Ward back. We've got Benson back, and we've got Teofili. Okay,
I think Teofili's going to get a lot of in the past.
Yeah. So, and he's got good hands. He's got good hands. Yeah. We've got to spread the ball out to these guys. You got Pittman. You've got Ja'Kai Douglas. That guy's hands are really good.
He's got great hands.
He's really got good hands. And then our big, tall outside receivers, Johnny Wilson and the rest of them that you've already mentioned, they can't drop that third down pass. Yeah. This is where these little plays add up into who wins the football game. Yeah. And some fans are subscribed. They may be thinking, well, why are you guys so negative? We're not negative. No. Don't mistake. And I've had that mistake made on me my entire life. That you're negative. I'm not negative. I live in reality of what it is. Okay. And I hope we blow these guys out. It gives me no greater joy than to blow out the Florida Gators. Yeah. But we also have to command respect for this team.
Yeah. And this is how you do it. This is what has me hope. This is a Trey Benson run right here. You break that tackle. This is what you can do against
that. Is a Trey Benson run, right, whether or not that 400-pound guy. I'm not scared of the 400-pound guy.
That gives you hope. And that's why Florida is giving up this yards, because they can't finish tackles. And that's a Trey Benson special run right there, right?
The Maurice Smith should not have any problems with this 400-pound guy that you see in there right there. The guy cannot move. Yeah. All you have to do is stay in front of him, and he ain't going anywhere. You may not push him out of the way a long way, but he ain't going to rush your passer. The guy, we mostly say a lineman playing a 4x4. This guy plays in a 2x2, okay, if that. And if we're running sideline to sideline with our plays, this guy is going to wear out his reps, okay? Exactly. You know he's on a rep count. He can only do so much of that.
Yeah, Exactly.
Okay.
And
So
Trey can break those
I'm not
tackles.
concerned about this guy.
Yeah.
Maurice Smith can handle this guy.
Yeah.
Okay. It's easier to handle a guy like that than one of their rush ends that's quick and agile. I'd always rather have a big, slow guy in front of me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that shouldn't be an issue. So it's not going to factor into this game.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting stat too. Nationally rankings, all games on the schedule. Total defense. And this is hats off to Fuller, Coach Fuller. Number 11, we're ranked. We're giving up 293 yards total defense. Okay.
Yeah.
The Gators, now here's the difference. Gators, number 98. 98 with giving up 408 yards as an average.
Yeah.
That's a big difference in numbers here. 98 and 11. We're 11.
Yeah.
That is an indicator to us that if we don't hurt ourselves in this game, we should win this game going away.
Yeah.
We should win this game by at least 10 points, 10 to 12 points.
Yeah. And that's why I think one of the biggest, we talked about the offense and guys on the outside have to make plays, make those one-on-one plays. I think the biggest defensive matchup is Deloach on spying the quarterback and making those tackles, or at least slowing him down so that they can gang tackle him. But Jamie Robinson has looked so good in terms of coming up and finishing tackles. You saw against Lafayette on that 4th and 1 play where he just leveled the guy. So he couldn't even make progress. He's been so good on those like red zone or like 4th and 1s where he just like against Miami, we just threw the guy back and just stopped him in his plays, like coming up and blitzing. He's been so good on those plays. But him and his ability to stop and finish tackles as well as on the outside is going to be big, because we cannot allow Anthony Rich. We have to limit his ability to make plays like this. This is the part that scares me, because we haven't faced a quarterback since Louisville that has the ability to make a play like this.
He's run. A big guy. He can run.
Look at how many
tackles. What kind of tackle was 23 doing?
Exactly.
What the hell was that? Did he think he was just going to push the guy down?
And that's the thing I'm talking about. They're up 21 points. You have to have consistent effort for 4 quarters.
And you got to wrap up. Wrap up.
So Florida State has to have focus for 4 quarters, even if you're up 21, because he can run 81 yards in one like that
and have a quick score. You're exactly right, KB. This is a game you cannot. Now, here's on Jamie Robinson. Yeah. Jamie Robinson cannot be looking ahead. Jamie Robinson can't be always thinking, when they hand the ball off, I'm coming up and I'm going to level some guy.
Yeah.
Because they know he's aggressive now, and they're going to take advantage of that at some point in the game where they keep feeding the ball, or we think they're going to feed the ball. Jamie's going to come up to support, and they're going to go over the top.
Yeah.
Don't get beat over the top. Our defense has to make them grind it out.
Yeah.
We cannot. One of the key categories in winning games, you know what it is? Explosiveness. Yeah. We've had explosiveness. We can't give up explosive plays to the Gators. You've got to make them grind it out. You know why? Because they'll make mistakes. That's been their inconsistency. And let me give you an example of that. On 3rd down conversions right now, we've improved all the way to number 6. Number 6. Now it's 50. We're getting about 51% of those on 3rd down conversions. The Gators, number 58 at 40%.
Awful last week. They were 4-15 against Vanderbilt.
So these numbers start to mean something as the season goes on. So we've got to get off the field. Yeah. We can't give them a first down because we jumped offside on a 3rd and 2 or a 4th and 1. We can't give them anything. And we've been pretty good at that. But here's another statistic that bothers me just a little bit. The Gators are leading us in this category, penalties. Now, really, penalties, don't worry about it. It's not sexy. Well, the hell it isn't. It can cost you a game. If you get a penalty and Benson goes all the way 40 yards for a touchdown and it's called back because of a holding call, that can be a big factor in this game.
Yeah.
In terms of penalties, we're ranked number 106. Now, I'm thinking there's only 132 FBS teams that they're ranking. We're 106. We've committed 78 penalties for over 700 yards, 705 yards. Here's the difference. The Gators rank 68th. 68 penalties, 10 less, but only 478 yards. We've got almost like 280 some yards. I didn't do the math here. In more penalty yardage? Is that possible?
I would have to look more.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we've been so disciplined in not committing big penalties. Yeah. That has to continue forward in Friday night.
Yep, I agree.
In Friday night.
I have one more last final point, but I can let you go forward.
Yeah, let me say this. Anthony Richardson did not run a lot.
Okay, this is my point. So this is my point
against Vandy, but he did against South Carolina.
Okay, I was going to bring that up. So in their 5 losses, he's only had one good rushing game, and that was LSU, and most of that was in that.
Well, he had a good one in South Carolina. He had 111 yards.
Okay,
11 carries.
That's right. So
he has 2.
But for the LSU game, one of it was one 80-yard rush he had in that game. So he had 109 yards against LSU. 80 of that was in one. But to your point, but the rest of those, like you said, South Carolina, he had But
Vandy, he only ran 3 times for 25 yards.
But that's
he had to
so there's this debate whether or not he's trying to show, because there's a debate. A, is he going to go to the NFL?
He is not going to the NFL. He is
there's a lot of people are saying he is going to sit out of the bowl game. A lot, ESPN, everything's saying he's sitting at the bowl game.
Well, he could sit out and still make a decision.
A
lot of guys are going to sit out the bowl game.
Okay. So they're saying he's going to sit out the bowl game. B, they're saying, well, there's going to be a lot of pro scouts at this Florida State game.
Hell yeah.
And so if he wants to show pro scouts that he's ready to go, just running the ball to win the game is not going to show them that he's ready. He wants to throw the ball. And that's why he's been trying to show that he can actually throw the ball, because that's been a knock against him. He's more of a Cam Newton running quarterback that can't make it, but he's trying to show that he's a pass-first quarterback that can run the ball as well. Now, do you think that's a true statement, that he's not just an athlete that can throw, but he's actually a true quarterback that can pass and run? Do you think that's anything in his mindset? Because obviously, I think against Vanderbilt, he probably could have run more against Vanderbilt in my mind. I think he can run against anybody, honestly.
I think he just wants to have a good game, a good balanced game, and to win for the team. I don't think he's ready for the NFL. I don't think he'll go to the NFL, and if he does, he's not going to be highly drafted.
So you don't think it's like what people say against Jordan Travis, that it's a mindset that Jordan Travis is making the mindset of, I'm going to pass more, not try to run.
No, I think Jordan Travis is going to run the play the way it was designed and the way it goes into the game. And if he has to make if he has to run out of the pocket because the pocket collapses, which again, we're giving up a lot of pressures. I don't know what the sack total is, but where he gets out of trouble. I think Jordan Travis has tried to show this year, I can throw the ball down the field. I don't have to run.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
But he will run. No. Jordan Travis is going to make the plays that he can make to help this team. There's no doubt in my mind, he is not looking ahead, even if he goes to the draft. He is here to win this game. This is a signature game for this team and for Jordan Travis. Okay, we lost to the Gators last year, and he doesn't want to be on that losing end again, because if we lose this game, it's going to open up some questions. It's going to and despite all the coach talk at the end, and if we lose this game, it is a big step backwards.
Yeah. And I agree, Hipnock. If you slow the running game, it totally changes the complexion of the outcome, because I do believe Richardson, he can throw the ball pretty well, but that is where he's most inconsistent is his pass. We saw it last week against Vanderbilt. He's not the most consistent in terms of his velocity and accuracy and stuff like that. That's where he still struggles. Donkey asks, does the level of competition play into your ranking stats you're bringing up, Bruce?
No, the stats I used tonight, Dagby, are total games played from Duquesne right on through for us and for the Gators as well. It's all encompassing. In previous broadcasts, I've only looked at, I took out any FCS teams, that type of thing. But level of play, I think they're playing in the SEC. They play a good caliber team every week. And I think KB has already talked about that. This isn't your grandmother's Vanderbilt team. They've played good quality competition. They played Utah. They played UGA. They've played Tennessee. Kentucky is no walkover. South Carolina's got a good program. So they have probably – they have played – we can't say they've played a weaker schedule than we have.
No, I think it's about equivalent. They play Texas A&M, Eastern Washington, South Florida. Those are garbage. But like I said, I think it evens out.
And they've been inconsistent.
Yeah.
We need this win to rectify how good our team has become.
I think
a loss would be devastating.
I think it's that, and just to shut up the people who say you haven't played anybody yet, because I think some of those comments are true. Like, our only quality win is all the way back in week 1. We didn't beat Clemson, we didn't beat Wake Forest, we didn't beat NC State. And you could say, well, you aren't healthy, but it doesn't matter. You didn't beat those teams.
Well,
the last 4 teams you beat were garbage. And you beat them. That's great. You blew them out, but they were garbage. So we have one quality one. It's week 1. Great, you beat them, but we have by hanging on. But it still counts. It still counts.
No, I understand.
And you played well for 3 quarters of that game. Didn't finish it well, but you played well for 3 quarters of that game, and I think you have gotten better. But that's the only quality win that you're hanging on to right now. So this, in my eyes, would still be a quality win. But it's not even just about a quality win. You lock down the state of recruiting for a year at least. And I think that's how we should finalize this conversation around what is the impact that this has, in your opinion, on the state of recruiting moving forward for the next year.
This game?
Yeah.
I don't think it no matter if you win or lose, I don't think it's going to have a major impact. I don't think I don't want a recruit coming to Florida State based on who wins this game. It irritates the shit out of me. It irritates the shit out of me that guys are coming because it could be a win. Well, I want to go to the winning school. That's my final determination. Or, it's all about NIL money, and that's why I'll go to a school. And I understand we've been down this road. We'll go down it again. That, I guess I want a little bit more loyalty, but people say there's no loyalty at all anymore. And I hope that's not true, because the fans have loyalty. The fans don't get to go into a portal. Okay. The fans are here. They believe in you and they support you. I don't think it has any impact whatsoever.
I think it helps in your pitch of like,
sure.
Okay, it helps.
Sure,
no, it's not about loyalty. It's about, are we making progress as a program? People, it doesn't matter. It's like in business. Do I want to go to a business that's losing money or tanking money? Are they on a growth path or a decline path?
Does one game make it a growth path?
You just said it would impact them in terms of you would have to ask questions.
It does. I think it impacts.
So that's it. That's in the
because
pitch,
it's a state rivalry.
Exactly.
Game.
So you say
like
so
Miami.
It does make a difference. So it does make a difference, right?
It makes
so you admit it makes a difference.
It does make a difference because this program has been building. We haven't played, as we've talked about, the greatest schedule. And this is one of the top teams in our schedule this season.
So it makes a difference.
Okay.
Then.
And so, yeah, it does make a difference.
Okay.
It makes a difference.
There you go.
But no, you said,
you
said, is a recruit on the line of going one way or the other based on his score? That's what you said. Go back and run the tape back.
I said, does it affect recruiting? Yes, it affects recruiting.
It may be if you're not solid with a guy, but if you're solid with a guy, he's not going to flip just because of one game.
No. I didn't say just for one game, but it affects your.
Well, I misinterpreted what you said.
For the next year, does it affect
you need to be clearer. You need to be clearer in what you get to say.
The people in the comment section can say if I was clear or not in terms of does it affect your pitch next year, which I think it does because it shows are you making forward progress or backward progress?
Of course it does. When you have a state game, it always has an impact. Miami and Florida has a greater impact than anything. Okay. You could lose to a Jacksonville State, get beat up for a week, and if you come back and beat Miami and Florida, nobody remembers Jacksonville State anymore. But if you lose to Jacksonville State and you lose to Miami and Florida, you got a problem. Okay. And that's why we can't overlook this. I don't think this team is going to overlook it. I think Coach Norvell has got them on the right path. I think he's got it in their head. We play each game as a separate entity, and we go out and play football. We go out and we jam this right down their throat. We jam. This is the kind of football we need to get back to here at this university if we want to get into this, even into an expanded playoff. That we're going to go out and we're going to tell them we're going to jam this down your throat.
All right.
And that's what that offensive line, our offensive line should be saying themselves. We're going to jam this down their throat, and we're going to keep jamming it down their throat.
Okay,
and then when they get up to stop it, we're going to throw it over their head.
Yeah, we don't want to get in a shootout with Florida, though. That's all I'm going to say. We don't want to get in a shootout with Florida. I say
no, I don't want to get in a shootout. I don't want it to come down to a field.
And we want to run the ball. Score.
Well, we have to run the ball.
Control time. I'm just saying we don't want to get in a shootout with Anthony Richardson. That's all I'm going to say.
No, we don't want this to come down to who's got the ball last.
Yeah,
but this is, I believe, now. What's the spread on this right now? I've seen anywhere from 6.5 to 10.5. It's at 10.5 in a majority of the sites now. I don't think it is.
It just got moved up. It literally.
Well, there's more than just one guy rating it, though.
No, it's not. Well, not the good.
No, there's not a national rating service.
If it's 6, if you're buying it for 6.5, then it's some sketchy site.
Yeah, but you can buy it somewhere else.
Oh my god.
Is what I'm saying. Oh my god. What does Caesars have it versus what is DraftKings?
Let me look at Caesars. All right, Caesars Sportsbook.
I know they kind of match each other.
You're not going to find it. It's not going to be a difference of 10 and 6. That's a lot. That's a lot.
Okay, why do you think it went from 6.5 to 10.5?
Because the injuries.
Okay, I saw that list. We don't need to go through it.
That affects that line. That will affect the line.
Okay, all right, I agree. Did you find it curious? Why would Florida? We guard ours like it's Fort Knox, and we put it in a safe with classified information. Why does Florida get that information out?
I have no clue.
I would question that. Now, he said, I saw a quote from Napier. He said that he thinks, what's his name, Pearsall might be able to play in this game. I think he'll be on a rep count, but he's a pretty good player. I mean, that guy can catch some passes.
He's a really good player.
Yeah. So that's one name I saw could be back. Bully ball. That's my man right there, Anon. Bully ball down your throat like the old Green Bay Packers, Pittsburgh Steelers, down your throat. And that's the mentality we want. That's the mentality of the linemen we want on this team.
So all these different sites have it now. FanDuel has it for 9.5.
Okay. But see, they vary.
Not by 6 points, not for 6 points. There you go, 9.5. Best odds are 9.5 you can buy.
All right. Okay.
Start at 2.
Oh, it started at 2. Yeah. It's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think it'll be a game. As they say, here's winning football. Explosiveness. Do you have explosiveness, or do you prevent explosiveness? Are you efficient? Are you efficient in your possessions on third downs, fourth downs, and total first downs? Efficiency of your possessions, and obviously scoring in the red zone, finishing drives. Do you finish drives and get points? Okay, that's the key, and not just field goals. Field position, which has been very good to us in the last 4 weeks. Excellent field position. You talked about that. And in the end, turnovers, which leads me to the infamous weather report, because that gets right into turnovers. Okay. Here's your Tallahassee weather report, which I put out on Twitter earlier today to help you fans going to the game. Okay, we got a 7:30 kickoff. So from 5 o'clock to about 11 o'clock, we should have acceptable weather between about 65 to 71 degrees. Okay, 59 to 72. What? No, you're looking. Well, don't flip that up. You're messing me up. No, it's Friday. We're playing the game Friday. Right. Yeah, I'm right. I'm always right. About 62 degrees to 70 degrees during the evening. Perfect football weather. Here's the problem. 40% chance of some showers, because there is a front going through the southeast, okay? 40% chance it could get a little damp. And when we hear damp, we hear turnovers. Okay. We hear balls not wanting to throw. As a rushing team, that could help us, though, that we don't have to throw the ball as much. Okay. However, hey, coach, you've got a day or so here to, not tomorrow, but on Friday, you might want to wet the balls a little bit and practice throwing some wet balls out of the tank. I'm just saying. Okay. That's what we got for our weather report. But overall, if we get lucky, the rain might hold off. But there's 40% of chance of showers between 5 and 9 o'clock.
All right.
That's your weather report.
All right. And then we end it with our rivalry weekend predictions.
Okay.
All right. So we'll go through and get your weekends on the big college football weekend across the country here.
I do have some odds and ends after this.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go through this. So we got, of course, Notre Dame, USC, which has actually become an interesting matchup as Notre Dame has been surging the last couple of weeks. They were 0-3 to start the season, or 0-2, and now they're
right.
I don't even know what they're at now, but they're a good team.
No, they're like 9-2.
Yeah, they're a really good team now.
They're like 9-2.
So, and USC with that big win, that great game last weekend, which was what ended at 1 a.m. or something, was an awesome
that was a great game. UCLA. That was a great game.
That was a great matchup. Yeah. So Caleb Williams looks great. He could be a Heisman winner. Who are you picking? 5.5 it's at USC. 5.5 points. Who are you picking?
I got to go with USC. I think offensively they're a beast offensively. Defensively, they've got some issues. They're having to outscore people. Yeah. I think they'll outscore Notre Dame. I'll give up the 5.5 points.
Yeah, at home, I'm going to take USC as well with the points, even with the points against them. All right, then we go to Georgia in Athens, Georgia Tech at Georgia. Yep, Georgia Tech has been looking better.
They won last week.
They've been looking better with the interim coach since they played Florida State.
Who they beat last week? It was a big surprise. Who the hell they beat?
It wasn't Syracuse. Was it?
No, they beat someone good.
So they beat North Carolina. Yeah,
North Carolina, which was a huge
ended their playoff hopes. Ended their playoff hopes last week.
Ended May's run for the Heisman. Probably.
Yeah, both their playoff hopes and his Heisman run.
Yeah,
on the road that is too.
Well, they're not a playoff team, just like Clemson.
I mean, they were in the conversation. They were undefeated. They were undefeated. Yeah. Well, okay. Well, it's a good story. So they're 5-6. If they somehow pull this off. Oh. They're going to play. They're going to.
Where's it at? In Atlanta?
In
the dome?
Athens, in Athens.
Oh, it's in Athens.
Well, I don't know. Do they do it at a neutral site? I don't know.
Oh, it's 35 points.
Yeah, 35 points.
I'll take Georgia Tech.
You'll take Georgia Tech.
I'll take Georgia Tech and the 35 points. Sign me up for that. I think in a rivalry game like that, that's a huge, ugly spread. And I would put that on my bulletin board for every Tech player to see that they have no respect for you. I got Georgia Tech in 35.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Georgia Tech too. We got to tell our buddy Bryce that we're picking Georgia Tech in this matchup with the points here. Since he was on the show. They're 4-3 underneath the new coach, the interim coach. So this may be for if they play well enough, he may get the job too. Then we go to South Carolina after their big upset last week of Tennessee, Spencer Rattler.
We have to remember on that Georgia game too. Now these teams in the playoffs, they got to run up big scores.
Oh yeah, exactly.
The pressure's on them.
They're not going to be sitting guys. Yeah.
No.
So South Carolina coming off that big win against Tennessee, against Clemson.
Yeah, but Tennessee lost their quarterback. Let's face it. Okay.
That game, they're winning with him in. I mean, South Carolina was in control of that game. South Carolina was in control of that game, even with Hendon Hooker not hurt.
Okay. But Hooker got hurt.
I know, but they were winning that game before that.
Okay.
I mean, I know he got hurt, but
Clemson and 14. You give me 14 with South Carolina. I'll take South Carolina in 14.
In Clemson.
Yeah, I'll take South Carolina in 14. I think Shane Beamer is going to have them ready to go. It's a rivalry game. Yeah. This is rivalry weekend. Anything can happen.
Clemson hasn't looked good. I think this is the upset.
Clemson is not a playoff team.
I think this is the one they lose. Good. I think this is the one they finally lose. I think they.
Are they still Clemson's still undefeated?
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
I think it's someone they lose.
Oh,
No. They lost.
Lord.
They lost. They're 10.
They lost. That's right. They lost to
Notre Dame. They got killed by Notre Dame.
They lost a game. Okay, next game.
Then this is the two undefeateds, Michigan, Ohio State. This is the first time they've been undefeated, I think, against each other in I think ever.
This is one of the best games this weekend.
I forget how long it's been. At Ohio State.
It's at Ohio State.
7.5 points. This is gonna be a good one. This is gonna be a good one.
I'm gonna take Ohio State.
Blake Corum may be out. Probably the best running back in the league.
Yeah. Fighting Dabo's win. What is that? What is that?
Because I had the Dabo head up.
You always have that. Okay. I'll take Ohio State.
You'll take Ohio State?
Yeah.
I'm just going back to the comments here.
Okay.
Go blue. All right. Dagby says go blue.
Dagby goes ND Michigan. Harbaugh.
Guys with the win. All right. You're going. Sorry, who are you going with? Michigan.
I'm going with Ohio State.
Yeah, I think with
you're matching up. It's like we scripted this, which we don't.
Nah, with Blake out, I got to go with Ohio State too. Even though they almost lost to Maryland last week, I think with Blake out,
Ohio State always finds a way to lose a game now.
Yeah, they won't. Both these teams do.
All right, here's the big one. Here's the big one.
Yeah, here's the big. So 10.5 points, 9.5, depending on where you go.
Well, I'm taking the Seminoles. I'm not taking the stupid Gators, no matter what.
Yeah,
I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll be in the range of 10.5 points. I think it'll be in that range. I see it as, what is the over and under? I thought the over and under was like 55.
So the over under, looking at it right now, is 58.
58 points. I think the Gators will realistically put up at least 21 to 24 points. Okay?
Yeah, I'll take
21 to 24, and we should be able to put up 28 to 34 points.
So you wouldn't take the over? Oh no, you would take the over.
I'd probably take the over. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta take Florida State.
I don't think it's going to be a defensive struggle. I think it's going to be offenses kind of moving up and down. I think we have a stronger defense. I hope we can limit how many possessions that they finish in the red zone.
Exactly. I
think that's what I want to see.
I think if you can get ahead by 14 and then run the ball and control the clock to limit his running ability and just limit his amount on the field, then we win.
I track those possessions. It's fascinating because you may only get the ball 5-6 times in one half. In the whole game, you only get the ball 10 or 12 times. Sometimes.
I don't want to get into like the USC Tennessee game last week where it's like back and forth, the UCLA USC game. I don't want to get in a scoring fight like that. No.
You don't want a team
because then it's just like who punts is the one that loses, right? It's one possession then.
You're exactly right. Here's the bottom line on this game. Florida State on paper is the better team. Florida State has been executing and playing better. There's B. Riley. I knew B. Riley was coming. B. Riley. Right. Yeah, he was right last week. He was out. You'll blow these guys out. B. Riley's going 41-17. Good.
You're right.
B. Riley, you're taking the spread then, man. You should put down some money. You were right. You made us eat that crow a little bit. But we love you, B. Riley. Thanks for weighing in. What was that last one? Who was that? Jody? Oh, no, Wendy. FSU has the better talent to win, no doubt. They just have to show up. I hate that type of comment. They got to show up. Well, they're going to show up. It's how they execute. 35-17. Nobody's respecting the Gators. Are we wrong?
I think it'll be within 10.
I hope we're wrong.
I think it'll be close. I'll take the spread over.
I always get nervous with Miami and with Florida. I just do. Because there was another, we showed one very famous game, 1993 at the beginning of this broadcast. And there's another game I tweeted out on, and it was the 1966. Pull that up. 1966 Lane Fenner. I'll never forget this. I listened to it on the radio. It's in Doak Campbell Stadium against the Gators. You can hardly see it. That's a video. This is it right here. You see this. Let me set this up. You don't have to show the whole thing, but the last play. Okay. This was a hell of a game. I'm listening to it on a transistor radio. Does anybody know what a
I told
transistor?
you how old he is, guys. I
No,
told you he's the
I'm
oldest
just
living
being honest
fan.
with you. Well, you don't want the legacy. You just want the last 3 years. Is that what you want? Anybody who knows Florida State, hold it right there. Hold it right there. Right there. This is the picture that appeared in the newspaper the next day.
Him and Albert Edison.
The next day.
Albert Einstein.
Okay. You're not being serious. You're being a pain in the ass right now. That if you know Florida State and you're one of these, 1966.
If you saw the light bulb get invented.
1966, you weren't even around. You got to know the history of this team. Lane Fenner, okay? Lane Fenner goes into the corner of the end zone, okay? Beats 2 Gators, and you see the ball. There was no juggling of the ball, no juggling. Of course, there's no replay. There's no freaking cameras. I don't think the game was even on TV.
There was no TVs back then.
No, shut up. There was too. Now listen, he pulls this ball in. You can see the 1 foot down, okay? And the other foot gets down, and then he falls out of the end zone. The referee, I forget his name, he was one of the most hated referees ever. He never was allowed to referee a game with Florida State again, ever. And I'll find his name. I wish I could find his name. He called him out of bounds, said he was out of bounds. And that's how the game ended. It was the last play of the game. Look at his feet. No doubt. Where's that? Yeah, full possession. I'll never forget that. We got robbed. That is clearly one Gator game we got robbed on. Okay. Why are you laughing? You should be upset. Gary Padgett. Yeah. Gary Padgett. Never forget. Gary Padgett then got injured, I think, the next year, and they turned him into a running back because he hurt his shoulder and arm. But this play, that is great photos you got there, KB. I'll never forget that. The Lane Fenner, no catch, they called it. Out of bounds, no catch. They waved it off.
Shout out to Slingshot for uploading this. This is
no,
great.
A lot of people were very, very upset. Great photos, though. Yeah, that's the whole recap. You got to know what has happened in this series, like the Miami series. You got to know some of those key moments. I'll never forget the one in Miami where Bobby Bowden's looking around. He thought he'd won the game.
What is the UF pool party game?
What? What is that?
The UF pool party game.
Is that the UF pool party game? What does that mean, Dagby? You got to clarify that, and you got to hurry up. This is going to be a hell of a game. The stadium's sold out. I think the cheapest tickets I saw, I was kind of snooping around last night, it was like $145. I think that's in the Gator section, though. There's a couple seats in there, and that doesn't include the add-on fee, so you'd be about $170. The hotels are outrageous, obviously. Motel 6, which I tweeted about, is $250. You better bring your bug spray and bring your pepper spray if you're going to stay there. Well, this one won't be close, fellas, so don't worry about getting robbed. It's going to be ugly. God, B. Riley, you know what? If you're correct, and if it's a blowout, we will invite you onto this program if you want to take that invite. We will. We'll have you make a guest appearance. How about that, B. Riley? And let me finish with this. Have faith. Coach will have them folks. Anonymous, I hope you're totally correct. Now, here's what's on the line. And some of you guys already know this. I've been saying it now for most of the season. I've tweeted a little bit this week. Right here. Checkbook on the line. I'm not showing you too much. I don't want you taking my damn money. Look, checkbook on the line. I got a pen, and I've said it. Okay, right here.
Forget it.
It's the charity challenge, Tallahassee charity challenge. Call it the Old Man versus Norvell charity challenge. That if we beat Miami and Florida, I would make a charitable donation to a local charity. And I'm already honing in on a couple of them right now. We win the game. KB and I are going to send out a check for $500 to a local Tallahassee charity. And I will make sure that gets out there, and we're going to try to have one of the representatives on there to verify that it gets there. That's what we're going to do. Mike Norvell, FSU, you do your part. We'll do our part to help a local charity.
For sure. Still out there. The game where UF won and took a bath in the fountain near the stadium. It was 1960s or 1970s.
Oh, in the fountain, in the fountain up at the main building. That's interesting, Dagby. I didn't know that. I'm going to look that up. That's an intro. I love her. I love the history here. I love the history that the fans are bringing forward. I love that.
And Dagby says Second Harvest is a good charity to look into.
Second Harvest. We've had a suggestion as well as the Boys and Girls Club. There, and there's some very worthwhile animal rescues as well. So I'm looking at the entire list. If anybody else
if
has
you comment
with
some on the video or afterwards, or submit some, email us or Twitter, send us on Twitter, message us if you guys have some good suggestions in the local area. We'd love to hear them as well.
Yeah, so. you can do that, and this one's going to help everybody. But we got to win that game.
Yeah,
we've got to win this game. That's the challenge for the team, and maybe some of the Noles and maybe Coach Norvell will match it. How about we ask for that? Okay, odds and ends. What do you got? What's the last thing? I got to reach my notes. They fell down here on the floor.
A couple of things this week happened just to update on that you may or may not heard. Yeah. We got a quarterback commitment, which is always good to hear.
Yeah, for the 23 class.
Yeah, this upcoming class. So Brock Glenn flipped from Ohio State to Florida State. This is a kid. I think we covered on the show earlier in the year that it was a battle between Florida State and Ohio State, and we didn't win them at the time. But it was a kid that Tony and crew continue to stay in contact with because you never know what's going to happen.
You don't know.
And the relationship between him and Ohio State kind of just didn't come together. It just wasn't going to be a fit. And then he flipped over back to Florida State, and he committed over this past week, which is great to hear. So, like you said, he's a 2023 kid. And that's great because we didn't have anyone in that in-between slot right now. So I think it's good because you need more depth right now in that room because I think we all believe Jordan's going to stay another year. It's been great to get Duffy and Tate some snaps in these garbage time games. So they're getting more experience. But you bring another guy into that room to bring competitiveness, to get some depth in there. And then you got the kid, the really high regard kid in 2024 coming in. And then you're less needing to go to get a transfer kid now in the portal for this upcoming class. But you may still. But it's good to have a talented kid coming in because once Jordan leaves in a couple of years, then you'll have Tate. Then you'll have Duffy, and then you'll have another kid ready to compete along with those kids, and it's the best one will win, right? So it's great to have a highly talented kid, a Elite 11 kid coming into the class who'll be in and ready to compete in 2 years. So
I think it's good too that we want to build a program here for the long run. Yeah. This isn't just we want to build a program through bringing in kids when we can. And keeping them in the program and making them better, making them more productive for us and for them. Because you don't want to, who was it? Kirby at Georgia. He goes, we don't even bring anybody in from the portal. Now, he kind of said that, which was stupid in my eyes, because now he's almost committed to not bringing anybody in. It makes him look stupid because people are saying, well, now you're bringing guys in. You're going to bring in some portal guys. That's just the new college football. But I think it's great to bring in some very talented high school guys and develop them.
Yeah, and the thing was, when we lost Chris Parson, we didn't know what was going to happen, right? So he was the guy that had been committed for a long time.
But here's the other thing. 4- and 5-star guys, when you come in, remember, you were a 4- or 5-star guy in high school. That doesn't necessarily mean you know everything and that you're going to step on the field and be a starter as a freshman. That rarely happens, okay? And you're going to have to learn. You're going to have to sit behind people, and you may get redshirted, and there's a lot of development that has to take place, and you have to believe in that process.
So I think it's good, and that's why I think it's good that he's willing to come into this spot with Duffy and Tate there. But it's also going to bring pressure on Duffy to have to compete too. So it's not like he's going to be handed the reins.
You've got to compete. Right.
It's your job, but this guy's going to be there to compete with him in 2 years.
Well, he's got to compete with Tate too. Nobody's
exactly. No, that's what I'm saying. I think it's good across the board that we have depth there, so it's not just we have 2 guys, right? So
right. I got something.
Yeah.
The portal swinging door portal opens up on December the 5th. Okay. It opens up. I think it opens up for like a month or something like that, or a few weeks. That's when you see guys saying they're going to the portal now. Well, they're not in the portal because they can't go in until the 5th, I believe, the way this works out. But the portal is going to be a wild, wild west show. And that's why Florida State has a big football operations. They're looking at guys. And they're looking at tape, and they're seeing where do we need to fit guys in, and they got to figure out who we're going to lose. This is all what happens in a major operation. Yeah. This is what happens. The other thing is early signing period for high school. I guess it's just for high school, 21 through 23 December. They have like a 3-day thing there. That's the early signing period for signing for scholarships. So we may have some early signees and then get some early enrollees. Guys who are really eager and hungry, they sign early and they enroll early, and they start getting the playbook and getting in shape, and getting in college football shape.
But I think the thing too is that I think Norvell's recent philosophy has been be a little bit pickier in high school. If you don't think you're going to get the right guy,
right,
go to the portal, and that strategy can backfire on you, because if you don't find a portal guy, then you're screwed. But I think he's like, if we can't find the right talent in the high school level, or if we don't think a guy's going to commit to us for the long term, then we just portal and we fill that hole. And it's worked out.
I think it's smart. Why would you not take advantage of a tool that's out there right now that could change?
And that's why they're signing smaller classes, because that gives them more ability to go into the portal and pull guys. And it's worked out. They've been highly effective at finding the right pieces that can contribute right away. Like some schools can't do that.
Well,
that's
another show.
Wrong players, but that's a whole
that's a whole nother show, which will come up after the season as we get into seeing what's going on with that. But they've been very successful, and you have to use the tools that are available to you. But you've got to do it in a smart way. Don't cut any corners. Don't cheat on anything. Don't be doing something that's wrong. Don't bring bad visibility to your program.
I don't.
That's the key.
I don't think it's stop doing this.
Well, I'm just saying it goes on, but I'm just saying that's.
And then the last news I think is congrats to Alex Atkins being named a semifinalist for the Broyles Award as one of the nation's top assistant coaches. So he's one of 15 for that award.
Yeah,
I think his contribution to the team is invaluable. We hope he sticks around. I think he will. I think they already named a coach for Charlotte. Because I think that was his name being floated for that. I don't think he's going to go there. They hired someone. They did hire someone. So they hired a coach. So
go ahead.
What are you going to say?
I was going to say this. I think that there's conversation taking place, and if we win this game Friday night, and then we go to a bowl game and we win that, think of the momentum this program would have, that we could get a majority of this team to come back, including the coaching staff. Now, you're going to put out some money. There's going to be a lot of money flying around to make a run at the ACC championship, at least the ACC championship next season. Okay. It would set us up to do that.
Yeah. You got a pretty easy schedule next year.
That's next year. Yeah.
But no, I agree. I think if they can close out this season strong, you can set yourself up for not only a strong recruiting class in 24, but also, like you said, you can make a run at Clemson for the ACC championship.
And we will talk about that after the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, I think that's going to do it. So, like you said, we're picking Florida State. I think we both think it's going to be a tight one, but we have every ability to win this game if we focus, play a clean game, and focus on controlling the ball, controlling the line, win in the trenches, and run the ball, and then air it out when appropriate, and win those one-on-one matchups. I think it's all in our hands. We can't beat ourselves. like we haven't been doing the last 4 weeks. We've been playing clean, playing straightforward, and not getting cute with it. So yeah, once again, join us Friday night for a post-game reaction show of some sort. Win or lose, hopefully it's a winning reaction and not an angry one. But we'll be available for that post-game reaction Friday night to give you the lowdown and our uncandid thoughts. So be sure to set a reminder for that on Friday night as we recap the Florida State game on Black Friday. So thank you all again for joining us. If you don't mind, like the video, subscribe. We really appreciate y'all joining us, and we appreciate you guys being followers and being friends of ours here at the show. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, Hypnotic. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Go Noles. Have a great one. Enjoy.
Hopefully you get travel safe.
Yeah.
On this Thanksgiving.
Hopefully you get some time off, spend it with your friends, family, or even just yourself. Enjoy some Netflix or your favorite show. Take it easy, y'all, and we'll see you Friday.
The flame will continue until after the game.
Don't. Yeah. See you guys. Take care. Bye.